Hello and welcome to the Cameo Show. I'm your host, Cameo, and we are joined by my husband and co-host, Mr. Greg Braun. Hi,
So
Greg.
glad to be here. I'm super pumped up. This is going to be a fun episode. Let's get into it.
Who's on your shirt there, Greg?
One of my favorite musical artists of all time is James Brown.
Can you give us a little James Brown?
Oh,
No. Go again.
now you just made me freeze up here. Feels good.
Oh,
Oh. Yeah, baby, 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 baby. Oh,
listen, if you're not
right?
watching the video, you need to stop what you're doing
Yes.
right now and go to
I
YouTube because, Greg, you just went somewhere. You were
yes.
somewhere.
Dude, I literally my whole life I've whenever I would see like a performance of James Brown, I'm like this I mean that dude is inside of that song. I mean, I've heard like studio outtakes and stuff of him in the studio, just it's insane. Like he felt the music.
Man, I felt that. Very good. Very
Good.
well done. And yes, gotta love James Brown. Been really
Hmm.
into funky stuff lately. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like there's this funky person that lives inside my body that my soul is
And you're
rising out of
super
my body.
bad.
Yeah.
That's a James Brown song.
What's the James Brown song that was Dustin Poirier's walkout song?
Oh, I paid the cost to be the boss.
Yeah.
No, I paid the price to be the. Is it the cost or
I don't know, but
I don't know. It's not my favorite song of his, but
yeah, but it's such a great walkout song.
it
I feel
is.
like in the spirit of walkout songs, there's been a conversation lately in my life, and I feel like I should have picked that one. But it's already Dustin Poirier's. But he retired, and if you're not a UFC fan, you don't know what I'm talking about. We're gonna get right into to Greg's dad joke.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Ay, ay, ay.
One more thing about that James Brown song as a walkout. It was done in the 70s. Production of music was different. It's a quieter mix of a song. So it's like, a lot of these people come out to these songs that are more current and they're like, and it's like, here comes Dustin Poirier and his song, and it's like, it's a
Yeah.
little quiet. And they usually turn it up a little bit, but it always kind of cracks me up. Something only a weirdo music nerd like myself would pay attention
Thank
to.
you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for gracing us with the music nerdness.
Yes, I'm clearly on one here today. Do you know why you shouldn't write with a dull pencil?
No.
Because it's pointless.
Oh. You know, okay, here's the thing with the dad jokes. They're not funny. That's why they're
At
dad
all.
jokes. But sometimes they're funny. Also, other times I have to really think about it.
Yeah,
Is that the point?
I guess
Not with a dull pencil, it's not.
that's what they're telling me.
Okay. Sorry for exposing all of our listeners to all of this mindless banter. What are we doing today, Greg?
So today I would like you to take your book, the
Oh, you
reset
mean this
button,
one
that
that I
there.
conveniently have in my hand?
Oh, that old thing. And I want you to leaf through it. I want you to just go to a random page. In fact, so we know this is legit, hold the book up.
Oh, that's
Hold
dangerous.
the book up. Hold the
I
book
love
up.
this. We did this with Judy when she was on the show with her new book, where
Judy.
Judy Holla,
Oh yeah. Okay.
where
Yeah.
she like picks a random page out of her new book or any book for that matter. She shared with us that like her favorite books surround her, and she'll just sometimes when she's feeling like uninspired or directionless, she'll go grab a book and pull a random page, and it's like the universe speaking to her about what she might need in that moment for inspiration. And when she was on our show, she used her new book, and I thought that was really cool. So now that's what we're doing.
Yes.
Fun. Okay.
And let me
This is scary to like just pick a page, legit
yeah, it's
lie.
already out. Anyone can read anything about this book. So, okay.
Okay.
So here we
Well,
go.
this is awkward and
Let
weird. So I'm
me,
just going to do it like this. Can you
yeah,
see?
I'll tell you when
You
to
ready?
stop.
Okay, ready? I'm going
Ready
to start from the back.
and stop. Okay.
Okay. It was the summer of 2015, and we were just shy of the 1 year anniversary of our move to Florida. Things were better. I was making more money and getting to reach new professional heights. Greg was excited about starting his new mortgage business. We were both proud that he hadn't had a drink for nearly 10 months, and I was 1 full month into my own sobriety. On the outside, all signs pointed to maintaining the status quo. Why mess with what was so clearly working? Instead, I decided to resign from my position at Discovery. Crazy, right? On the outside, it seemed nonsensical to quit my lucrative job. The opportunity had basically fallen into my lap at just the right time. It was helping our family crawl out of our financial hole. It helped relieve Greg of financial pressure so he could focus on building the relationships required to get his business off the ground. And he and I were both in a calmer place since we stopped drinking. Yet it was contending with a louder voice in my gut telling me that my job was the opposite of what I needed. Page 163, chapter 11, resetting how you deal with your shit. So this section, I'm going to close the book and we're just going to dice this out a little bit. This section is really all about how we deal with our toxic coping strategies. For us, it was drinking and other things. For some, it might be shopping or gossiping or deflection. I mean, we have these strategies that we feel like keep us in control and keep us safe. And a lot of times they're really hard to be honest about. So I kind of lay all of that out there in this section. And in talking about how we were like reestablishing ourselves at that time in this new way of life, I rocked the boat again. Let me take you back to this moment. So I had landed this job that I mentioned was helping us crawl out of a financial hole and giving us some space to rebuild our life. And when I told Greg, hey, I can't do this job, like I don't want to work in this position anymore. I was traveling a lot. I was gone a lot. We had just moved to Florida. We had just started this new way of life. It was interfering with my ability. Like I said in the writing, he kind of looked at me like, are you out of your fucking mind? What do you mean you're quitting this job that's going to literally, can you just stick it out for like a year? Like, can you just help us get more on our feet here?
You just take one for the team and just stick it out, please. Please. It's just to be completely open with the whoever's listening right now. I mean, we would just move to Florida and, not knowing anyone here and not having income. When you're a mortgage loan officer, you know people and they refer clients to you. And when you just basically open up your own business, you have no customers and you have expenses, but you also have your bills of your life. And like we were just on life support financially, literally on life support. And and it was like, what do you mean you're going to leave this job that pays you so much more money than we have ever made ever? And
Mm-hmm.
that was the salary. And you also had bonus on top of that potential. And it was like, what do you mean you're going to stop doing that? Right now, you need to do that because we need this money to survive. And if you talked to 1,000 people and you said, here is the math and what was going on in that moment, 1,000 of them would be like, well, yeah. I mean, if you didn't know any of the details, but you just saw the high level math on, okay, here's this family, they just moved to Florida, here's their expenses every month, here's their income, which was virtually nothing, here's their credit card debt, here's all that they've been through personally, and wife gets this job that's just a gift from God, you know? And it's like, well, that's going to help them get through this really. There's your sign from the universe that your move to Florida was the right thing because you moved here, you put yourself out there, and then something just came to you. And then you literally were like, this is not in alignment with what I want for my life. So I have to not do this thing, even though it's very comfortable for me to do this thing, you know. And you're like, I'm going to help you. Let's work together and build our mortgage company. It did come into my ears as like, what in the fuck do you mean?
I
That's
know.
crazy.
That
So
might have even actually been what you said to me. I know we were in the
probably.
car driving home from Sunfest, which is on the
Yeah.
other side of the state. And I remember saying it after thinking about it. I had a rough week leading up to Sunfest,
Yeah.
a lot of travel. I remember being in a meeting with my manager's manager at a school district, because that was what my role was with the Discovery Channel, Discovery Education. And we were sitting in like the cafeteria, and he was like asking me how I was feeling about the role, how I was settling in, and I literally just started crying. I don't even know if you know that.
Mm-mm.
And he probably was like, "Oh Jesus, what
That
is
good, huh?
happening?" Woo! But let me back up a second. So I saw it from a different angle in a couple of different ways. And then we'll get into I want to I want this podcast to be sharing this, but I also want to kind of like wrap it up with a nice pretty bow lesson, because there is a huge lesson here, or a few of them. But let me just back up and say that to you, it was, what the fuck do you mean? Because we were swimming in debt, bills, and had no income other than mine. For me, it was, I finally have an opportunity to do something in my career that's different than I ever have before, that's really fun and exciting, that may lead to bigger opportunities. And so, from a personal standpoint, I was really excited about what I was doing. And it would have fit Cameo, it would have fit me in a different scenario in our life from that standpoint, because my 20-year-old self would have been screaming, "Oh my God, this is my dream job."
Yeah.
And at the time, my 31-ish, 32-ish, I don't know how old I was still screaming like, "Oh my God, this is such an amazing opportunity. Like, how did I even get this role?
Mm-hmm.
Wow." But then there was another piece of me that was busy working on sobriety, honesty, rebuilding my marriage, spending more time with my kids, dumping out the jar, so to speak, which I talk about in the book, and refilling it with big rocks, the most meaningful things in my life first. And I knew that that career was a big, important rock, but it did not fit with the other big, important rocks.
Yeah.
It just didn't. It would have compromised our marriage, because I would have been traveling a lot. It would have compromised my relationship with my kids, which was really important to me when they were young and we had just moved here and we were on our own. It was important to me to be present for them. And it would have compromised that I hadn't even stopped drinking yet. You had stopped drinking. I hadn't
Mm-hmm.
stopped drinking, but I was kind of not drinking at the time. And in fact, it was kind of leading me back into drinking more often in a way that I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at this like, this is kind of like behind the scenes, because I feel like it doesn't
Yeah.
read like this in the book. So thank you for being
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like I was at this point of like having a scale and weighing the pros and cons of what choice do I
Sure.
make, and trying to see into the future. This choice might look like this in the future, and this choice might look like that, and then this one might look like that, and really determine what was the best move in that moment holistically. And it was very difficult.
Yeah.
Then add the financial part.
Yeah.
Then add that I have to come to you and tell you that, and what that might bubble up, right?
Yeah.
And what it did bubble up, you know, we didn't fight, you didn't like freak out, but there was definitely this moment of contention of like, okay,
Shock.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Stress. Like, what the hell?
yeah, I actually, you said shock. The top of this next page says, after his initial shock,
Yeah.
Greg listened closely to my reasoning and soon agreed with the idea.
But because the reasoning was in alignment with what our goals were, like
That's
what
right.
our vision was, that we had worked through and talked through and connected about, because I had stopped drinking, because we were really focused on working on us and our family unit and just getting the big rocks in place. And while by all society standards and by survival standards, that provided something, income, but it wasn't, it was exactly opposite of what we needed for you to be gone in environments where there's alcohol and you're, entertaining superintendents and, all these people. It's like, that's not part of being a family.
Yeah. I say on the same page that it would have been easy for us to draw battle lines.
Yeah.
That I wanted to quit my job for my family and you wanted me to stick it out for our family.
Hmm.
The ingredients for arguments, resentment, and miscommunication were all there. And in the old days, we would have screamed about it, drawn metaphorical blood, and partied and drank ourselves into a state of not giving a shit anymore, which is true.
Hmm.
We would have just fought about it.
Yeah.
But we weren't that couple any longer. And we didn't have the cushion of getting plastered after a balls to the wall fight, made the argument somewhat less desirable. Thankfully, pairing our sobriety with the work we did on our partnership allowed us to not only be more comfortable with uncomfortable feelings, it also meant we tried to both respect each other's position.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I don't try to see it through what you're looking at it and you don't try to see it through mine, I mean, there's no way to like have some understanding for the other. A lot of times it's like, this is what I want, so hear me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Instead of like,
Well, yeah,
how
I know
does
what you
this
mean because that's
yeah.
what you do. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, I know
But
very well what you mean.
yeah, that was a very trying moment for a very fragile couple, and I'm proud of us for how we got through that because yeah, that was, I don't know, I'm just making up this metaphor, but like it was like the poison apple that could have wrecked the ship,
For sure.
if not handled properly. Because that could have
And
been like, I'm done. That's so selfish of you. It wasn't that way at all. It was all hands on deck.
it definitely could have gone a lot of different directions. But here's that pretty bow of lessons. I say plural lessons because
Lesson.
there's a few that I want to bring up because I feel like this is what helps those of you listening right now. If you're at a point in your marriage or in some type of relationship where there's conflict, where especially when you're making change, if you're trying to decide on things that are in alignment in this new way that you're living, it can get messy when they're specifically well within yourself when you're making these decisions, but specifically when there are other people involved and it might
Hmm.
be the opposite of what they're used to or what they think. So
Hmm.
lesson number one is it's in the deal with your shit section as we're talking about being fresh on the alcohol free train for a reason. Without the clarity of making that decision and making sure that that was important to me, this decision would have never been made.
Hmm.
That's my first, as I go into my own book and say that's my first takeaway is that I didn't do AA. I never completed a program, but I know that one of the things that they talk about in those meetings and in those rooms is that you have to be selfish in your sobriety, in your choice to not drink alcohol. And I had to be selfish in that moment. And whether I was willing and able to admit it in that moment, I knew. I knew in my gut. I could feel it. I
Hmm.
just knew it was going to be a threat. So
Hmm.
that's number one lesson. Number two is we communicated very well about what the priorities were, and we were open to hearing each other in a way that we hadn't been before, alcohol involved or not. Just we didn't communicate like that in our previous marriage, in the earlier years of our
Yeah.
marriage together, because
Right.
we were very driven by this is what I want, this is what I think, this is what you want. I don't give a shit. I'm doing this. And not in a way of like, fuck you, I'll do whatever I want, but just more of like, it never really ended in a decision together for our marriage. It ended in a decision for one or the other of us where maybe one of us relented a little bit and still held on to a little bit of resentment about it because I didn't get my way. It's not my feet, right?
Yeah.
You too, when you didn't get your way. We were both kind of bratty. And the third
Speak for
thing,
yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
sorry. And the third lesson here is that sometimes you don't always know how it's going to turn out. But if you make the choice that's in alignment with what's going on and what's important to you and your partner, if it's in a relationship situation, and you lean into the fact that it might be painful or uncomfortable, what comes out of the other side can and will be, or can and likely will be, better than you could have ever imagined. It will be the catalyst for changes that you didn't know needed to be made. It will present opportunities that you may not have otherwise seen. So, what I mean by that is when I came to you with that concern and decision, and after the dust settled a little bit, I started working with you on building relationships in our own backyard where I didn't have to travel. It was essentially the same thing I was doing in that role. That role gave me confidence that I didn't know I had. It gave me ideas that I wouldn't have come up with myself. That role was really important and pivotal in my development as a professional, even for a very short period of time that I worked there.
Yeah.
Exposure that I had that benefited what is now our own business 10
Yeah.
years later.
Yeah.
But if you had asked me then, will it look like this in 10 years? I wouldn't have had any freaking clue.
Right.
And if I had stayed, it's not likely that our mortgage company or that even this podcast or any of this stuff that we do would be happening at all.
Right.
It sounds so woo woo, but in staying aligned with what you really want and need for yourself and staying attached to what you see it look like at the end, even if you aren't sure what that is, but there's an idea, and leaning into the fear and into the change, the outcome is positive if it's in alignment. It's for you.
Yeah. I don't think you've said it in a way that emphasizes how important this. I mean, you said it, but like to the listener, I don't think this is like so profound to me because I've seen it work this way a few times in our life, where in these decisions that are made of like, this is where we're going as a unit. And then here comes this distraction. And then you're like, you can easily look at it and go, nope, you are not in alignment with the vision. Excuse me. There have been, should we hire this person or should we, do this or that? And it's like, it's either no or hell yes. And like when you have some sort of vision of what you want, it's easy to see that stuff. And I think that like we had what we wanted and we were a happy little unit. And then that job came and landed and it was like, whoa, okay, well, this is amazing because it's money. And we're in this society where you need money, but it was everything else that was not in alignment, and so that quickly, but how many people out there make decisions about it because of money? And they focus on the things because of money. And sometimes, like in our situation, it was fuck the money with a big middle finger because it was at a time when we needed it the most. It was like, I mean, it was dire, right? I mean, bleeding red on paper, it was a real test of like, how bad do you want to have your whatever it is that, so I mean, it's just, I know it sounds hokey, like you said, and all this, but and then when you do focus on it, the business we've built and the lives that we've, impacted and the just everything else has been exponentially more than I would have ever dreamed of in that moment if I would have said, no, no, you have to keep that job and tried to convince you to stay. And like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a version that ends up being really great,
yeah,
but there's a version that ends up being a complete catastrophe.
yeah,
And at that time in our life, we were so fragile across the board. We were just getting our feet back underneath of us that all I could see was that it was absolutely going to be a complete catastrophe.
Yeah.
in all ways. And I trusted that that wasn't just me, um, catastrophizing the
Hmm.
situation, that it was legitimately, I can't even describe it.
It felt wrong.
It's such a weird thing because I know everyone listening, and I know you, Greg, like I know you know what I mean, and you can't put it into words, but it's just this moment, this feeling where you're like, this
Yeah.
isn't right.
Yeah.
And if we listen to it, it's hard, especially when it's hard. It leads you directly to where you need to be or keeps you from going somewhere you shouldn't,
Yeah.
where you never were meant to be in the first place.
So listen to your gut, kids.
Yeah. And, that's what the reset button is all about, really. It's about tuning into those alarm bells that go off when something doesn't feel right. Because, like what I just said, a lot of times you dismiss it because you're like, I ain't got time for that. That isn't a possibility. I can't do that right now. All the things, all the reasons why. Also, I don't want to. Ooh, that's scary. What if I can't? All the things. But it's about taking a moment to say, like, I'm going to hit the reset button. And the reset button is simple on purpose. It's 3 R's. I know y'all can remember that. 3 R's. What does 3 R's sound like, Greg?
Arr.
R. The first R is reflect.
Never forget. Rawr. Sorry.
Oh
Oh
God,
God.
just woo, coming unglued. Listen, the first R is reflect, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's reflecting on that moment when you're normally, when you might dismiss it otherwise, and saying, well, wait, hang on a second. I feel this way for a reason. It's valid. I need to at least be curious about it. I've got to like dig into why I feel this way and understand it. Because if I don't understand it and I make a decision, that decision will likely not be correct because I didn't take the time to like really develop what needs to be heard here. The second R is reset. And that's when you've taken that time to be curious. And then you give yourself permission to say, I can do it differently, or I don't have to do that because I always have, or that might seem like it's the right path or the necessary thing right now, but it's not in alignment and going against the grain. Like that reset R, the second one, and the one in the middle is the one where you give yourself the ability to choose differently. And then the third R is reinvent. And that's the part that kind of happens as a result. Like this reinvention of our life was on purpose. We may not have always known how we were reinventing ourselves, but it was as a result of taking the time to be curious, giving ourselves permission to make change and do it our way. And that has rippled, I call it the reset ripple effect in the book for a reason, that has rippled into every area of our life because the decisions start with the R's in the jars that are in alignment with what we've determined as most meaningful and important in our life. You can do one without the other. It ain't gonna work. I'm telling you right now, you got to do all three.
There's no or it's
The way you just did it was really like delicate.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm not preaching about it because I got it all figured out, but I am preaching about it a little bit because it changed the trajectory of our life. And that's why I wrote a book to help people see things from a different perspective. And it continues to change the trajectory of our lives because we apply this in everything that we do still. Because I wake up every day and have a new challenge or a thing that needs changed, or we have an argument, or someone does something stupid and we got to figure out how to navigate this with the customer or whatever, life. And you go, okay, well, hang on a second. Something feels off. I got to dig into that. I got to explore that. And the cycle starts all over. So I'm not telling you how to do it or like what to do specifically or weighing in on your choices or judging or inviting you to judge mine. But I am saying, here's a framework. It really is something that you can just
I got a word, formula.
formula,
The 3R formula.
process, idea, or you can just call it
Oh, just never forget.
it really will help you make meaningful change in your life. As long as you do it all together, and you can do it anytime you need to, over and over and over again. This is an example from the book of a time that we did it when you weren't expecting it, Greg. We didn't even know we were doing it yet. The book wasn't written yet. It was about deep trust in ourselves, evidence that we could do it, and courage.
And that's an example of a big decision, like a big, intense, life-altering, wow decision. This also applies to, do I want to eat organic lean chicken, or you know what I mean? Like, this can be any decision that you make that you're just kind of on autopilot about in your life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be this like big drawn out parsing through the 3 R's. It's just a quick moment in those situations. Like, you're laying in bed the night before and you're like, should I get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow so I can steal back some time in my day because there's some things I want to tackle and I don't want to be late. It always rushes me out the door and then I feel stressed the rest of the day. Well, you just kind of work through those R's real quick and the answer will become really clear. If you want to have more time for yourself, steal some time back, more ownership, less stress, and that's in alignment with what you're looking for, the answer becomes a resounding, clear yes. A hell yes, for that matter. No, I don't know. You work through it till you figure out, is it a hell yes or a no? There ain't no in between. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Did you already
Yep.
say that?
No. Well,
I mean, we've said it a million
say
times.
it
If
every
you're
day.
a regular, yeah, I know.
No, I mean, I think it, because it's like, that's your formula to process decisions. It's like, you got to know what the goal is, first of all. You got to know what you're trying to do. And then from there, you can look at these little micro decisions that you're just kind of on autopilot about throughout your day and be like, yeah, that can go or stay, or that needs to be fixed. It's just a different way of seeing the world around you, and how you can make changes, big and small,
With confidence,
with,
with
yeah,
confidence
you can.
and clarity.
I think that's the thing. And when you talk to people, when you learn about people's lives stuff, it's like, I think people don't realize that they have a choice. I didn't. I did not. I remember when our therapist, our marriage counselor, early on, when we lived in Ohio, she was like, well, why don't you just get another job? Like, because I was stressed out, work was stressed. And I was like, I remember looking at her like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is the only place I can do, and it's like, I look back at that now and I'm like, but I didn't, you know, my perspective was,
Yeah. Same thing about not drinking. She said that to us back then too.
yeah,
Like,
well,
well,
why
why
don't
do
you
you
just
guys
not
just not
drink?
drink? And we were like, huh?
Yeah, right.
Are you out of your mind, lady? We're paying you for this? That's terrible advice.
But it's, if you're not thinking and you're just kind of doing and just doing as you've always done, you just kind of do then.
You keep getting the same results you've always had, or worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were in a state of our marriage and our lives at that point when that job situation happened, where we were evaluating everything. We didn't socialize at all with anybody. Sorry, I
Oh,
picked up my drumsticks.
I was
So
like,
I'm
you're
just
getting
kind
into it now. You're giving us the whole deal.
of but you know what I mean? Like, it was like, stop the tape, let's get this shit together here.
Yeah. And
And
thank you for having an openness. And I think that's also, I touched on that being a part of like one of the lessons. But if you're at a spot in a relationship or a friendship or a job or whatever partnership you're looking at, you got to remember there's like another side that's not yours, that is equally valid to consider if you consider everything equal from the start. We go in with our own biases, but what's the plural of bias?
I don't know.
Like a spare guy. But we go in with our own biases, and then we can't actually evaluate the true nature of what we're looking at. We're too guarded. Our ego's too right. I've always done it this way. I ain't changing. But thank you for being open. And if you're listening and you're stuck, start there. Start there. That's part of your reflection, is where is my ego jumping in here? to chime in and save me and keep me right and keep me safe and keep me protected. Ooh,
Yeah.
sometimes your ego needs to be set to the side in a timeout so you
Yeah.
can actually really see what's happening in front of you and make a real decision that's based on evidence and education versus, dare I
Your
say it,
emotional state.
emotions. Yeah,
Yeah.
because emotions are great. And I'm not saying like, oh, dismiss your emotions. They don't matter. They're valid, but they aren't always telling you the truth. They
Right.
aren't always
Yeah.
leading you to what you really want at the end of the day. They're leading you to what you want right now, what feels good right now, what feels safe, what feels comfortable. Ego and
Yeah.
emotion, ooh, double E's. They're like the E bandits.
Yeah.
Got the three R's and the E bandits.
It's wild stuff, it is.
It's real. And you know what else is real is that I feel like everyone goes through some of this shit in their life and nobody wants to talk about it because it's embarrassing or it's shameful or I'm going to look like I don't have it all together or it's going to impact my business negatively to be an actual human who's messed up in my life. I had so much trepidation about putting this book out in the first place for that reason. But here's the thing, the feedback and the responses that I've gotten from this book, and this isn't for my ego, this is just to share, like, it's exactly what I hoped for. People feel set free. They're like,
Hmm.
oh my God, I don't have to keep living like that and putting myself through the ringer of the shit I messed up a long time ago or the decisions that I made. I'm
Yeah.
not stuck after
Yeah.
all. Thank
Yeah.
you. And it means so much to me. I like literally almost cry. Sometimes I do cry when I see people's texts or their reviews. It's like some just can we all just be a little more real? Like we're all going through it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for leading the charge there on the can we all just be more real because you were just real in a huge way. It's an amazing book and I am just so proud of you for being brave and putting it out because every time that I read through it, I feel this huge hit of hope, and I forget that I'm reading about my life, and but it's like I just go through it and I feel like there's no matter what people are going through, I think it will give a lot of hope to
Thank
them.
you. Thank
So,
you. It's not my book anymore. It
right.
might it's for everyone else. It's being spread around like that. And that's the biggest compliment I could ever receive. It's not really about how many books I sell, it's about whether or not it actually impacts people.
Yeah.
Really. I have a business and a career and a life. This was just a project that means something to me, and the fact that it means something to other people is really important. So thank you for suggesting that we talk about it. Thanks for the gamble of picking a page.
Pick a
Yeah,
page.
yeah, and kind of just
Everyone's
rolling with
favorite
it.
game show. Pick a page.
Oh God, let us know if you want this to be a series, a pick a page series. It's kind of
Uh,
frightening, honestly. Um, but yes, you can grab the reset button on Amazon. You can go to my website to grab a copy. It's at Barnes and Noble, a couple other boutique bookstores, depending on the area of the world you live in. And we have new episodes of the Cameo Show every Wednesday. If this landed with you, thanks. I'm glad. Please share it with somebody else so we don't all feel so alone all the damn time, wondering if something's wrong with us, if we're broken. We're not.
you're human.
Yeah. Welcome to being human.
Yeah.
There's this song called My Name is Human. I'm going to sing it. I'm not going to sing it.
My name is human.
Greg's going to sing it.
I'm not even a singer.
Oh boy. Thanks for putting up with us, guys. We hope you'll join us again soon. Until next time.